Okay, welcome to the first chatting shit of season 3 of the Silph Arena. I'm very excited for this. Missed it a lot over the past 8 weeks or so, and I know the people that have joined me today also missed it a lot as well. They're looking forward to this. So, joined by Nick, Dan, and Phil. How are we all?
Good. Thanks for inviting us, Matt.
Good. Warm.
Yeah, very, very warm. Yeah, I not gonna lie, I had ordered a bald cap from Amazon. Was hoping.
I sussed there was a theme to today's hosts.
Yeah.
You mean my head's cut off? I've got a perfect head of hair at the top there.
Yeah. It's the angle. It's the angle.
Yes.
No, that makes it look worse.
But yeah, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, it didn't arrive in time. So there we
Could
go.
have just shaved your head, Matt.
I could have, but it took
Solidarity,
me so long
mate. Solidarity.
Yeah, it took me so long to actually get a haircut. I didn't want to, I've only had it cut for about a week. I didn't want to go bald after this. So
it's your own video series, and you lack the dedication.
Shocking, isn't it? Shocking. I mean, I had a shave. What more do you want? But yeah, for those who haven't seen a chatting shit before, we're all just going to pick a Pokemon from the Sunrise Cup, try and convince the others to use it, tell us why it's good, and we'll start with Phil, who's picked in my opinion, the best Mon in the Cup.
Wow. No pressure then.
Yeah.
I've gone for, it's nearly winter, so I've gone for the Snowman.
Cool.
Is that a regular snowman or a shadow snowman?
Mine's a regular, because I don't think I have a shadow.
No, I don't have a shadow either.
No, neither do I.
I have one that's not TM'd yet, because they came out like days after the Rocket Day 2 from GoFest. So,
do you want to know something scary? The UK #1 Vutanacity has a rank 1 Shadow Abomasnow.
That's just filthy.
That's absolute filth. That's like not even fair on the rest of the world.
Yeah, it shouldn't be allowed, should it? But
it's his mascot, though, isn't it?
This is a public service announcement to not allow him into any of your local tournaments because of that.
Yeah, but go on, Phil. Tell us about Abomasnow.
Just from practice, it looks really good. It's a grass which beats most flying. I think Skarmory is the only one you've really got to worry about. It's the king grass, beats all the other grasses. I just love it. Just so spammy. I think the only things you've got to be worried about are the counter users. So Vig, Obstagoon, probably Blaziken. What's left? Alola Marowak, maybe?
Yeah, G-Fisk.
Yeah. G-Fisk is closer depending on if you can get an energy lead.
Yeah.
You can flip that.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about G-Fisk.
Yeah, and that's what's nice. G-Fisk is going to be super popular. And the fact that it can flip that matchup, even though it's a bad one, is always a good sign. Yeah. I think as well, you mentioned Skarmory. I'm using Abomasnow in GBL at the minute, and the amount of times a Skarmory will try and farm down the Abomasnow and not make it and have to shield is, because as you say, it's so spammy.
It's a dirty level of spammy. It is really, really super quick. I mean, it's not that quick getting to the grass move, but yeah, when you can knock out them weather balls so fast.
Dan, I'll be honest with you, I've done about 15 battles before this. Straight weather ball. I didn't hit energy ball once. Didn't need to.
Wow.
It was amazing.
So
I almost swept a team of 3 with it.
Okay, so I mean, given how much Powder Snow and Weather Ball speaks for itself, we don't really need to discuss those. And if you're not pressing Energy Ball, yeah.
Go on.
What about
Outrage?
What about Outrage? Yeah.
Outrage is very, very viable, because Skarmory is probably the biggest wall. You're hitting weather ball with that. So everything else, what's wrong with a bit of outrage?
Yeah, I mean, Articuno, outrage is probably your best. Well,
How
weather
many?
ball.
How many though weather balls are you getting into an outrage though? Are you not like getting in 2.5 weather balls to an outrage? I'm just thinking of how long it takes to power it up, and
It'd be
surely
about-
the damage off the weather balls is gonna
Mm,
get you there anyway. Really,
yeah, it'd be about 1 3/4. But for something like a like an Alolan Marowak,
Yeah, fire types. Fire types. That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
I mean, it's not going to do anywhere near enough to KO, is it? And you're still going to get farmed down. But if that's the difference between putting an Alolan Marowak in farming range from a Mudboy, for example, and not doing that, that potential energy gain you're gaining on the next thing could be huge. So yeah, it's not something I'd even given remote thought to actually until you mentioned that you're not pressing energy ball.
Well, it turns out the one that I really wanted to do tonight, I couldn't have.
Yeah.
So I looked into a bomber with outrage, and there is play.
did I pick your one by chance, Phil?
I don't know. Does it have wings and a big mouth?
No, I didn't.
No,
pick yours then.
that one's coming up tomorrow night. What? So does outrage help? Does outrage help you with that matchup versus Pelipper?
I think you go straight weather ball though.
Straight with the ball. Yeah, that seems like sensible.
I think it's still neutral because of the water flying.
Yeah.
Just what you're saying though, you're only using weather ball. Wouldn't that bring you back to maybe using a shadow if you haven't TM'd it, just giving it the second move? And again, you're only using the one move. You're not using the second one anyway. And if you do come into them difficult matches, you could potentially. Well, no, you're not gonna. But
You could reverse bait.
yeah.
Shadow Snowman actually does beat Skarmory in the ones.
Wow.
The second weather ball just does enough damage to actually KO before it can get to, like, just as it gets to the second sky attack. So it's very, very energy dependent. Like if they switch Skarmory into your Obama, then you're gonna win as long as even one shields. But yeah, it doesn't work the same way with non-shadow.
No.
I'm guessing it gets farmed down in twos. No issues.
More than likely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Powder Snow's that sort of level of move, isn't it? Where since it's got the damage buff, that extra 20% attack, you could see how that might hit a lot of breakpoints. Like Mudshot, for example, isn't you're barely ever going to hit any breakpoints with Mudshot because of the extra 20%. But with that 20% on Powder Snow is now worth so much more than it used to be before the Powder Snow buff. That you could be hitting breakpoints, and I imagine Skarmory's got something to do with that. And of course the weather balls being hitting a bit harder as well. So yeah, the Shadow Abomasnow, I think it's ranked higher than regular Abomasnow. Is that right?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, by a few spots. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if it's something people have available to them, I think. I mean, as I say, I haven't got a Shadow, but I've not even got one that has frustration. I just straight up don't have one, so it's not a choice for myself. But for those who it is a choice for, I would suggest running, like, picking your team first, and then deciding at the end whether you want to run the Shadow or not. Sort of figure out what you're weakest to, and then just have a look at those matchups, Shadow versus non-Shadow, and see which comes out on top, because little things like that might make the difference. Yeah, but we'll see. Anyone got anything else to add on Abomasnow?
It is just from what and again, Cup only came out yesterday, so it's literally like today is
This morning.
Well, some of us stayed up till 1 o'clock.
One
last
o'clock
night.
this morning, pal. Yeah.
Yeah. Other of us was up at 6:30 this morning, so didn't stay up till 1 o'clock to watch the release. And read it at 6:30 this morning. So I've only done limited research into it, and it just looks. It's that and G-Fisk, I think, are going to be on every team. I think you may see some variants with other things, but I think you'd be missing out drastically if you didn't have Abomasnow on there. It's,
Do you know? I think it's that good that I think I can foresee come the end of the month people will be running Ferrothorn with Thunder and Flash Cannon, or Thunder and Mirror Shot, and just ditching the grass move. I think people. I think it's that good. I think people will get sick of having just so few counters to Abomasnow, and we'll just see some weird sets coming out because of it.
Standard Abomasnow still beats Ferrothorn though.
Even if Ferrothorn has Mirror Shot.
Oh, I think it's still running the standard Power Whip Thunder. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's what I mean. I feel like Ferrothorn's moveset could shift. But I don't know. Maybe that's taking a step too far.
If you go straight Mirror Shot, Ferrothorn will win with 6 health.
Do you know what? It's better than some stuff does, though, because other things don't seem to win. That's the problem.
And that's still kind of rough.
Yeah. Well, one of the best counters to Abomasnow. Look at this. You can tell I've done this a lot. Seamless transitions. One of the best counters to Abomasnow is this Dan's pick, Vigoroth. Yeah.
I picked Vigoroth. It's a beast. There's not many things that actually beat it in this. It's a counter user. It stands up well to the flyers. Absolutely nails Abomasnow really, really hard. And again, I look at this cup as being I've not probably played about 10 games of it so far. G-Fisk and Abomasnow are going to feature on every team. So they're the two that I need to beat, and that's where, Vigoroth really comes in. I played about it with it today because for some reason I've built up myself like about 60 TMs, so I actually swapped moves around on it. I know because I've got 60 TMs, you can tell we've had an off season.
Yeah.
And I was actually using Brick Break as well, just to see. Well, I've just thought, body slam. I was taking away the body slam really and using Brick Break with Bulldoze just to see if that made a difference.
Really?
I know body slam is super quick, but it was just playing around and testing it out. I'm not saying go and do that because I don't necessarily think it's the right idea, but it was just something to give off that extra damage and try and be quicker. That's why I think Vigoroth, just because it beats G-Fisk and it beats Abomasnow.
Yeah, I guess what you said about Brick Break, what are you hitting with Bulldoze here? Like AWAC? Is that going to be around? Maybe.
I mean, Abomasnow, farm it down.
Yeah.
Ferrothorn,
farm it down.
down.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think Brick Break body slam
is one of them moves it does all the work for you, really.
Brick Break body slam could be a shout. I think. I mean, you definitely need body slam for the flyers. I think one of my favourite sims is the fact that Vigoroth beats Altaria in the 2s.
Do you think you're going to see that much Altaria though?
Probably not. And do you know what I think this about the flyers in general? Yes, the flyers are very, very good, but there's so many of them that I think people will pick different ones based on personal preference. And I'm not sure we'll see any one flyer that stands out.
I don't know. I think you'll see 2. I definitely think you'll see 2 over everything else. You'll see the water flyer and you'll see the steel flyer. Lots.
Water flyers, there's 2 of them.
There's
now,
3 of
do you
them.
mean Mantine or
nobody,
Pelipper?
Nobody counts Pelipper.
Gyarados.
Nobody,
Oh,
nobody
Gyarados.
counts Pelipper. Nobody counts Pelipper.
Oh.
I love Pelipper, mate.
I know you do. That's why I'm trying to bait you.
Double weather ball, mate.
But I definitely think Mantine and Skarmory are going to be the ones that you're going to see a lot of. I don't
Skarmory,
think,
yes.
because again, it's the Abomasnow factor that I don't think you're going to see the Alterias, because people are going to be like, well, I'm not going to die straight away, as you've got that sort of defense with the other two, which I don't see in the rest of them. You're not going to use Noctowl because, again, I think Vigoroth's going to be very popular. So again, people are gonna, Vigoroth will just milk through your Noctowl completely. So
Yeah.
Pelipper might actually be a shout if you've not got a Mantine, but let's face it, who's not got a Mantine now? We're coming into flying on Thursday, so if you've not built yourself a Mantine up for that, then I think, unless you're Matt and you're running the Dragon Hole line.
Is that what I'm calling it?
Truly call it Dragon Hole, yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not sold on that anymore. Although even then, I think if I do run Double Dragon, I think Mantine will be the lead now still.
So Mantine's going to be around, and yeah.
And that's the weird part. Like, Mantine's got so many moves, and the fast attack on it can alter so many matchups, can be really versatile.
Mm. I mean,
we're not talking about Mantine, we're talking about Vigoroth being awesome and
we are.
True,
and a killing machine.
I mean, it's been one of the safe swaps that everybody goes to in just about every cup that it's available, or in GBL, because of how strong it is, just because it's like, its usefulness, but its typing is different based on what it's useful for. Like, it's a counter user, but yes, it's weak to counter, but it's strong against so much else because it's not an actual fighter. So it's not like Air Slash is neutral, whereas any of the other fighters, it's going to be super effective. So like, that's what makes it such a fun thing to use. And then those body slams just come so fast.
Yeah. It's a great mon, Vigoroth. I don't think you'd find a person in Silph who disagrees. And what I think makes it really nice is similar to our Abomasnow beats everything in its category. Vigoroth also beats everything in its category. I mean, Blaziken's iffy. I think Vigoroth can choose to win, I believe, if I remember rightly. Like, if Vigoroth wants to spend the shield, but it'll munch through Obstagoon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because double weak.
Kill Obstagoon.
Yeah,
sad.
And I've seen in PvP Steve's team builder chat, team building or simplified video that he's put in, Ferrothorn down there with the fighters, and it's going to go through that as well. I mean, I don't necessarily know whether I agree with that, and actually it doesn't matter where it's placed, it beats Ferrothorn regardless of where you put Ferrothorn on the map, I guess. But yeah, I think I'm really struggling to see a reason to run Obstacle over Vigoroth. I mean, AWAC, if AWAC becomes big, but at that point, you're then weak to Vigoroth. So, yeah.
I could see AWAC become big, though, by the end of it. That when you were saying what you think will shift, I do think, because on my basic, I'd sort of got 5 in my head that I was definitely going to use, and it was that 6th spot where I was like, AWAC maybe. But
yeah, and AWAC's one of those ones where, similar to Vigoroth, we've used it a lot before in other cups. People will have one belt, will be comfortable with it. So, it could be, but I certainly think we'll see more Vigoroths than AWACs, and I think. Yeah, that's what we're talking about, isn't it? Vigoroth, not Mantine. Yeah, I certainly
just like, if you run Bubble, then you've got no problem shooting.
yeah.
Bubble Vigoroth. How many TMs did you use?
Oof. That's that elite TM.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts on Vigoroth? Anyone?
Solid pick.
Solid pick. Agreed. Okay, well, because I'm still cheap and haven't invested in premium Zoom, we're going to have to cut it here, and we'll be back very shortly. Okay, and as if by magic, we're back. And my pick is a different legendary bird to what people might expect. I'm a big fan of Zapdos, but here I've picked Articuno. And I've picked Articuno because, well, Phil touched on it earlier, how Skarmory is the main fly that beats both the grasses. Well, Articuno also does that. The sims that I've looked at are a bit misleading because rather than throwing Icy Wind straight away, it builds up to the Hurricane. If you take away Hurricane and run the sims, then it's it gives Articuno the win. Shadow Abomasnow is less comfortable. It's one of those ones where the extra power on Abomasnow hurts. You still pick up the 1s against Shadow Abomasnow, but the Shadow Snowman wins the 0s and the 2s. And these are things that Zapdos handles fairly well, but Zapdos is walled awfully by Galarian Stunfisk. And while Galarian Stunfisk beats Abomasnow comfortably, it's not walled. If you decide to play out the 2 shield, if you decide to shield twice, as the Articuno, I'm reasonably confident, if I remember this rightly, that Galarian Stunfisk has to shield twice as well. Galarian Stunfisk can't undershield you. And so you're either winning switch, or you're leaving the Stunfisk at pretty low health, like 25% health-ish, which if you've got something like a Vigoroth, or another counter user or a Mantine, is pretty farmable, especially after you've hit it with 4 Icy Winds, or 3 Icy Winds or whatever. And that, once you've got it into the shields down scenario, and you've got a buttload of energy on your next thing, despite losing to the Stunfisk and losing switch, you've got so much energy that you might be able to make up to the disadvantage somewhere else. So I think not only the fact that it isn't walled by Stunfisk, but the fact that the nature of Icy Wind, it sets you up for a way to switch that round, and you lose that matchup, and your opponent might just switch out anyway because they're so debuffed. So you might end up winning switch. So I really like that. You beat Skarmory, unless Skarmory manages to land the Brave Bird.
Or is using Steel Wing.
Yes, that's true. That's true. If people have forgotten to TM it from the Flying Cup, perhaps, yeah. And then you also beat Dan's pick most of the time. Beat Vigoroth. But
Vigoroth, yeah. It's Pokedex number 288, just to get that in there.
We love these facts.
Smooth.
Fun facts.
Yeah.
So, are you referring to Shadow Articuno or regular Articuno?
I'm referring to regular Articuno, yeah.
I was just looking at that. That's regulars higher on the PB Poke list than Shadow.
Yeah, because I think the nature of Icy Wind again is you're wanting to try and outlast your opponent. So the bulk is probably helping you more than the extra damage. But yeah, so Skarmory, again, I think Articuno is probably competing for a spot with Skarmory, right? In my opinion, because of the beating the grass types thing. And so unlike Skarmory, it's not walled by Stunfisk. Unlike Skarmory, it's not walled versus Zapdos and Emolga. And it has sketchy, iffy matchups with Vigoroth, as does Skarmory. So I think it's similar to. I mean, obviously the big trade-off is you lose to Skarmory. It's a different take on that sort of the sort of pure flyer role, I guess, where you think of a flyer in this. You see the 5 types and you see flying, and you think, right, that beats grass. That's what the primary function of a flyer should be, in my mind. And as we say, Skarmory is probably the one that jumps to mind that does this best, but Articuno does it as well. So and it has different play versus different things. And I think that could be quite interesting I think it could pair well with Skarmory. I think having the options to beat other things, like if you wanted having them both always is going to give you a grass counter that's got play against something. Maybe not the electric types, although I imagine you beat Zapdos with enough shields. Emolga's a bit bulkier, isn't it? So maybe not. But yeah, I just think Articuno is just a different take on the heavy flyer. Downside, it loses to Blaziken.
Articuno's got that weird typing that's like similar to Skarmory, where it's like it's a flying type, but it still takes neutral from fighting attacks because of the ice weakness versus the flying resistance to it. So, but like, yeah, the spamminess of those icy winds to kind of help negate that. So if you get the energy lead, maybe it's not the worst thing. I hadn't given that much of a look.
Yeah.
With you saying Hurricane, do you need the Hurricane? Or are you just saying you can survive off the icy winds? I just quickly looked at like the Vigoroth matches and the Abomasnow matches, and
yeah, you can survive. You can survive off the icy winds, I think, if I remember rightly.
It's just because of how they do the Sims. The Sims are trying to make it so that like the option is there for like you bait with a lesser energy attack. So like you build up to a Hurricane, but then fire an Icy Wind. But if you actually fired it sooner, you're taking less damage from those fast attacks that would have been in between from where Icy Wind was charged to where Hurricane was charged.
Yeah. And Hurricane's legacy as well. And I'm not sure whether it's worth the Elite TM.
Actually, their Articuno's in raids right now have Hurricane.
But does it go below? Do they go below 1500?
I haven't done one. I don't do raids.
No, me neither.
Like, there's some useful information for someone that raids.
Could be worth doing a few raids, and if it doesn't go below 1500, doing what we used to do with Lugias and Cresselias when they were first out, trading them off with people, trying to get one below. I mean, that's
It does not.
What, even with trading?
1665 is the lowest, and no.
So, yeah, it's like I got one from a raid from last July or two Julys ago, and it's like 1730. So, yeah, best bet is from the research boxes and trades or the shadows.
Yeah, but despite not having, well, if you choose not to use the Elite TM and have Hurricane, your opponent doesn't know that. So if they are in a situation where, let's say they're in with Blaziken, they may choose to shield anyway if you go for the sort of fake bait. And apart from versus Blaziken, all Hurricane's given you is, well, against Alolan Marowak as well, I guess, but that's an uphill battle regardless. All Hurricane's given you is a big hit, and you could get that from Ice Beam or Blizzard.
Or Ancient Power.
Ancient Power.
Ancient Power doesn't do that much.
No.
It did get nerfed,
what
but
walls
like,
it is the fires.
Yeah. Does has someone got a sim open and can you check the Blaziken match up with Ancient Power, see what happens that way?
Sure.
Because if that swings that, then that's potentially an option.
I really don't think it wins it, but
no, I don't.
It could
No,
help
it's still a loss.
Yeah.
Still a loss.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could just run it without. You could save yourself 100,000 Stardust. Yeah.
Still beats Emolga.
Right. Okay. Nice.
So even with that bulk, it still beats Emolga in twos.
Yeah.
You're actually still better off just going straight Icy Wind. It's the exact same damage per energy. The only upside is the chance of a boost. At least in the Blaziken matchup, it's literally 37 damage for 45 energy for both attacks.
Yeah. So I think if I run Articuno and if I double move it, I think if I choose to double move it, I will use the Elite TM. I think, but I don't think, unless Marowak becomes a big thing, I'm not sure I'd second move it for anything other than Hurricane. If that makes sense. But we'll see. Any other thoughts on Articuno?
I hadn't thought about it, to be honest, before you've mentioned it, and I'm just looking about what its key wins are and what it loses against them. It's actually a decent option, to be honest. I don't know if it's. I don't think it's going to replace Skarmory, like you mentioned. I think that's still going to be on most people's teams, but
I think Matt's point is having two of them.
Potentially.
Potentially see something like an Articuno lead with maybe one shield for it, something like a Vigoroth that you can safe switch into if you're uncomfortable with the matchup and just don't shield it, and then Skarmory as a cleanup. Depending
so
on
you
their
would
team
be
comp.
taking those 3 flyers then, rather than just taking 2.
Possibly. But let's say one of those 3 flyers is a water flying. And let's say, for argument's sake, it's Mantine to beat Stunfisk. Does Mantine behave like a flyer? I mean, it's weak to electric, but
It's double weak to electric.
yeah, and it loses to the grasses, I guess, which are the flying counters in this. Like, it's a strange cup. Yeah, I could see how three flyers might be a bit much. But I mean, that's the type in where there are the most options, right? So I think it's feasible. I remember thinking back to Jungle Cup back from season 1. I think I ran triple electric because there was just so much versatility within that one typing. Sometimes it's more about the subtypings than yeah. So I don't know. They certainly want to give some thought to anyway. But talking of flyers that you may not have given much thought to. Oh, look, another great transition, by the way.
I was going to say, is he trying to sneak in some more info on Zapdos, or
No, I'm throwing over to you, Nick. With you.
Wasn't the
My
Icy
pick.
Wind one I was thinking of?
No, fair enough.
No. Yeah. I love my ghost types, so I feel we've talked enough about AWAC, and I feel like it has some good spots there. But I'm actually still kind of big on Drifblim. To bring us back to Dan's pick with Vigoroth, this is one thing that like completely walls it no matter what move it has. Yeah, like they buffed Hex, so we're getting a lot more energy faster, so we can fire more Icy Winds. But like you're also not doing a lot of damage to it because of the normal typing. But I like Drifblim as a lead that can, debuff if they don't like their lead, they switch in, you debuff if you switch out. Like it's got a lot of versatility. The strange part about it is even though it's got that Icy Wind, it can still lose to Altaria, but if you run a couple of practice battles with it, if Altaria switches into it, it can't beat it in the ones. That one Hex lead that you can potentially get will completely flip the matchup, and you'll come out of there with a pretty healthy Drifblim that might be able to get to another move, whether it be another Icy Wind for a debuff, another Shadow Ball. I really like it, as it's like its key wins are a couple of random things. Like I don't know how many Victinis are going to be on teams that aren't mine.
I think there's going to be a few Victinis, to be honest. I think that's going to be when people talk about fire coverage and stuff like that. I think that's the crafty. I definitely think Ian will run one.
Users, but Drifblim is a great answer to it. It's Icy Wind doesn't do much because of the fire typing, but because of the psychic typing, it's taking super effective from the Hex. And then V-Create is a very powerful attack, but if you throw one and it gets shielded, you lose all your defense. But it has Drifblim's got a lot of play against just about everything in the meta. If it's got an energy lead, aside from Galarian Stunfisk, just because those rock slides are a pain, and you don't really do as much. Like Articuno gets stab on the Icy Winds. Well, Drifblim doesn't. So even if you they don't shield your bait. Hello, cat.
Everyone wants to be in the video.
He does. He's giving me a nasty look right now. Even if you land a Shadow Ball or two, Stunfisk is still gonna be able to tank probably 2 of them. I haven't run the sims on that one, but I feel like it can tank 2 and still get through you, just because of how low your defense rating is for Drifblim. It's in like the high 70s, low 80s, even at a rank 1, but it's just got so much health, so it can just sit there and soak up damage. That's what I like about it. Is It can take a lot of hits, especially if it's not very effective, like the counters off of a Vigoroth. It just sits there and takes it and laughs at it. Mud shots don't do any damage. It's just the rock slides you got to worry about. So if you can get the shield advantage, you've got a good setup for debuffing teams and keeping at them.
Yeah. I think going back to the Stunfisk matchup, I played a bit with Drifblim in GBL last season, and I found that after an Icy Wind, I don't know the optimal way to play the Stunfisk matchup, but I found that after an Icy Wind, Phil put him
straight Shadow Ball.
Sorry?
You can straight Shadow Ball after the first Icy Wind.
Right, yeah. I found after one Icy Wind, the rock slides aren't doing enough to like 2 or 3 KO it because of, as you say, that massive HP stat and the low defense. I mean, I'm not massively clued up on how maths works, but I'll certainly not anymore. But does the low does the low defense stat does having a low defense stat mean you benefit more from the attack drop on something else than having a high defense stat? I don't compared to there might be something in there stats wise, but I don't know. That's it's too late for that sort of discussion.
I think you're setting me some homework.
I actually ran a different sim for us too. Just like how we were talking about Articuno, where if you you charge to the Hurricane but then throw the Icy Wind. If you're the Drifblim and you go straight Icy Wind, you win the ones.
Versus
Galarian Stunfisk.
Really?
You come out with 4 health, but you won.
Wow.
The only thing that would flip that is 1 mud shot. It's a CMP tie. So if in
Mate,
the ones,
it's even better in 2s.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, if you just straight Icy Wind, try to get cheeky and get the damage through. But if you do the 2s, you come out with an Icy Wind ready. Nope, 1 hex away from an Icy Wind and 34 health. Let's see. The rock slides are doing 58 damage, when if they were undebuffed, it would do 116.
Oh, yeah.
So that's 4 straight Icy Winds. You can do it. Probably not the most recommended, but you can.
You see, I didn't see where Drifblim came into this cup at all. I just looked at it as, it beats Vigoroth, but loads of stuff can beat Vigoroth. Yeah, not greatly, not as efficiently, but I was like, Drifblim, it's not going to beat everything else because, again, thinking the G-Fist just dropping them rock slides on you, to be honest. And again, you've got Mantine, you've got Skarmory, things that are going to be in this they're going to be very prevalent in this meta being about. So I wouldn't have, but now knowing that it would be a G-Fisk, you might be good just throwing in all your shields right at the beginning because you're taking out their biggest, what is the biggest threat of the
anti-flyer, yeah.
And then your other flyers out there, like if you ran 2, 3 flyers on your team and all of a sudden their Stunfisk is gone, like what do they have in back that's going to be able to deal with, like, let's say a Zapdos or a Skarmory or, Abomasnow is still going to be an issue, but like if they have a Vigoroth and a flyer, I think you're pretty well set.
Yeah, like imagine if, like in a situation of triple flyer where if you led the Mantine, which your opponent likely knows Stunfisk is going to lose to, and then you switch to your Drifblim, which your opponent probably thinks Stunfisk can beat. So they switch in that, you then waste their Stunfisk, and then you've got a flyer in the back like a Zapdos, as you say, to take advantage from there being nothing. Triple flyer, that way, sounds pretty strong.
Yeah, when you word it like that, yeah, it's just getting it to actually all the pieces that fall into place.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, if anyone can do it, Nick, you can. I believe in you, mate. I believe in you. Triple flyer, go for it.
Still got to get that 2-shield matchup lined up again with my Rock Smash Azu against Dialga from previous videos. We'll see. I've already renamed a bunch of stuff for this cup, and a good majority of them already have wings. Looking, they're flying types look like a lot of fun, and then looking for G-Fist coverage, and who would have known a flyer can actually do it?
Never underestimate a flyer. they're all just good, aren't they? Like
They are.
Like, it really upsets me that I don't think I'm going to be able to run Zapdos in this. But
And your Zapdos is really good. I've felt the pain from your Zapdos.
So he's got the shadow one, right?
Yeah, it hurts. It
Yeah,
just hurts.
yeah,
And that's another one that actually the regular form is higher up than the shadow. Not by much.
I could see that in this cup because the electric typing is weirdly. I don't think this has ever been said before ever, but the electric typing here is really good defensively. Like because everything's got flying moves, and yeah, the electric type's a really nice asset to have. So maybe the extra bulk helps it.
And I guess ground types are there, with not really actually going to be able to affect it too much because yes, it's electric and it's weak to ground, but it's also flying, so it's like doesn't really care.
Yeah, you're beating a lot of mud boys in twos because your drill be just out spamming them. Which
I mean, you even beat Swampert in the ones.
There you go. Yeah.
See, I was debating, do I power up? I've got a decent Shadow Swampert, and I'm like, is this the one I get the Elite TM out? Do I just go for it? I mean, yeah.
I thought the same, but I'm not sure where I'm not sure I see Swampert here, to be honest. But yeah,
the AWACS.
Sorry? Oh yeah, the AWACS.
But what about the AWACS?
The AWACS. I think that's probably a sign that we said all we have to say on Drifblim if we manage to be this far off. So let's leave it there.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me, guys. I think that was. I thought that was. You know what? You all told me what you were going to pick, and I thought, what can we possibly say about these things? But I've got. I think this is very. I think this has been very useful. I hope you guys agree. I'm
gonna go get myself a Drifblim now.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining, and I'm sure I'll see you all again soon. So yeah, catch you later.
Great chatting with you,
Cheers
Matt.
for having us.
See ya.
See ya.